right, and welcome back to day 7 of the video series for April, which is Financial Literacy Month. 30 ways to get started in real estate investing. Now, if you remember from yesterday, for the 6th way, we had talked about where you could utilize special programs like a VA loan or an FHA loan to lower your down payment for your primary residence. But a primary residence could be a single family home all the way up to a fourplex as far as the lending criteria is concerned. Now, this option here is for those that maybe already have a home and want to qualify for one of those programs because, well, you already own your property. You maybe bought your property, last year, or maybe you've been there several years. So with that, there is a term called house hack. Very high level, this is essentially called getting a roommate. But it can allow you to get some extra income from your primary residence already. Granted, this may not work for everyone and may not be as comfortable for everyone, but it is an option. So just kind of high level, let's just say you got a, 4-bed, 2-bath, and maybe, you have a finished basement. Maybe there's just a room off in the corner. You can rent one of the bedrooms. And if you have a multiple or have another bathroom, you can maybe rent that bath as well. And then the other areas like the kitchen, the laundry area, could just be essentially utilized by both you and your roommate, your tenant, whatever word you want to use. So this is essentially called house hacking, where you're essentially hacking the house into more than one unit, essentially, but it's still a single family home. What's been trending a lot nowadays is many parents are purchasing a house now for their children for when they go off to college. And sometimes this is right before they go to college. Sometimes this is, quite a ways out. And they will, their child will live there and they'll rent out usually by room to all the other students. So like here in Marshall, I'll just give you an example, kind of back to this 4-bed, 2-bath option. It's not uncommon to rent essentially a room for around $300 a month, give or take. I've seen as low as $250. I have seen as high as $500, depending on the size and location of the house. But even at $300 a month, I think we'd all agree that that's pretty reasonable. I think you're going to be very, very hard pressed to rent even a one bed, one bath studio apartment anywhere for $300 a month. And basically they'll rent it out by room. Obviously the kitchen area, the laundry, the bathrooms would all be shared, and the utilities would be usually split just accordingly. So, if there's 4 students living in there, the internet bill is $100 a month. Everybody pitches in $25 per month. Now, you want to be a little careful with some, shall we say, regulations in place. So just to give you an idea, here in Marshall, they actually have a statute on the books that no more than 3 unrelated people can be in the same unit or dwelling at once, or on the lease, or living there at one time. It's not actively enforced, and generally I haven't seen this actively enforced in a lot of jurisdictions. Just be aware that it is there. Now, I kind of mentioned the college students before. College students tend to party a little bit, maybe up a little late, drinking, loud, rowdy, whatever. Cops get called, they get called to the property. It's like, well, gee, instead of 3 people living here, gosh, we got 8 unrelated people all living in this single family home. Heck, we're breaking fire code. We're not even into this regulation piece here. So just something to keep in mind. There are obviously rules and regulations and restrictions. But essentially, this is one way to house hack. So there's various ways to do this. If you own your primary residence and you have a spare room, spare bedroom and bath, you can rent that out to college student, a single person. Maybe it'd work for a small family to move in. Like I said, a lot of parents will buy a house for their students, or excuse me, their children, and other students will rent per room. And that's essentially called house hacking. So maybe, just kind of rough numbers here. I know here in Marshall, it's not uncommon to get around $1,100 a month for a house, and all utilities are paid for by the tenant. But actually, no, one person in town has a 5-bedroom, and each student pays $300 a month per bedroom. So 300 times 5 would come to $1,500 a month for gross monthly rent for the house, where that same home, if rented just to a family with kids, for instance, may only fetch about $1,100 a month. So substantial increase if you're able to house hack that and rent that by the individual room versus the house as a whole. So again, you can do this with your primary home. You can do this with an investment property. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. And again, like I said, the big pitch is, nationwide, there's a big lack of inventory for affordable housing. If you have a spare room and need some extra cash, want to get started in real estate investing, you can start as little as, just renting out one room and pitch it of $200-300 a month. And many times you'll have plenty of takers. Myself personally, our house here in Marshall, we rented out our basement, which when we acquired it, has a full kitchenette, full bath, full bedroom downstairs. We rented that out for, I think, about $500 a month. We included all utilities. There's no real way to split that up and divide up the electricity usage. But, for many years, this was, let's see, 2006. I'm trying to think, 2006 to 2010, roughly. We had rented our basement, got an extra $500 a month. And this is before I even knew house hacking existed. It just happened to be a house we really liked. It happened to have a full kitchenette, and it crossed our mind. It's like, well, gee, if we wanted to, we could rent this out. And one of my old high school friends was the first one that needed a place to live while he was going to college. And then my nephew ended up renting it with his friend, and just, like I said, just kind of went from there. I was doing house hacking before house hacking was a term even. So again, just as a real life example that I've done that you can do, take an existing home, whether it's yours or an investment property, house hack it, rented by the room or rented by the area. It is a cheaper option for the tenant, gets you extra income, especially if you're looking at $1,100. Could bump that up to maybe $1,500, like I've seen right here in Marshall. Extra income for the landlord or property owner, and everyone wins. So hope you learned a couple things on this option for what's called house hacking. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, and I will be back with way number 8.